Welcome to the story of Naomi and Ruth. This story is from Ruth chapter 1, verses 1 through 22. The lesson focus for grades 1 and 2 is God stays close to us. The book of Ruth is one of the shortest books in the Old Testament. It is only 4 chapters long, but it is a big story, a story of faithfulness, loyalty, and family. This story begins tragically with the death of the men in the family. 3 women were left alone: Naomi, an Israelite woman, and her 2 Moabite daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah. In biblical times, these women would have been very vulnerable on their own because they had no way of providing for themselves. For this reason, Naomi told Ruth and Orpah to return to their homes in hopes of a better future. But Ruth did not leave. Instead, she stayed with her mother-in-law. She was not legally required to remain with her, and Naomi probably didn't expect that she would stay. Because Ruth was a Moabite and Naomi was an Israelite, Ruth was choosing to travel to a place where she would be considered a foreigner. By vowing to stay with Naomi, Ruth demonstrated great love and loyalty, far beyond what was expected. Ruth's devotion to Naomi can teach us about the extraordinary love and faithfulness that God has for us. This love goes beyond anything that is expected or requested. God loves it when families love each other, just as Ruth loved and cared for Naomi. Through the love we experience in our families, we can also come to know the extraordinary faithfulness and love that God has for us. While we might strive to be like Ruth and show such strong love for others, we are often more like Naomi, on the receiving end of love, because our families love and care for us. Just like Ruth stayed close to Naomi, God stays close to us. Ruth promised Naomi she would go with her wherever Naomi went, even if it meant she would be considered an outsider. She promised to live with her and become part of Naomi's family. God also makes these promises to us. God will stay close to us, even through the most challenging of times. God stays close to us, and sometimes the closeness of our friendships is one of the best ways to experience God's presence. As you prepare for this lesson, consider the loving friends in your life. Who has been there to offer care and support to you in times of need? As you reflect on how God worked through these people to comfort you, you are also preparing your heart and mind to share this good news with kids. First and second graders have very definite loyalties. When they love someone, such as a friend or family member, they show it. This will help them to understand the kind of love God has for us. When Ruth stayed close to Naomi, she was making God's love visible. At the same time that kids are willing to show their love, they don't always grasp the concept that loving a person differs from loving a toy or a possession. Help steer them towards seeing the special bond between Ruth and Naomi. A toy can't love you back, but a friend or family member can. Some kids in your class may already have had an experience of moving. During circle time, as you talk about the move that Naomi and Ruth made, ask kids about their own experiences with moving. What was it like to pack everything up? How did you feel when you left for a new place? First and second graders love to tell stories about themselves and their lives. Wherever possible, encourage them to relate biblical material to their own experience. During the family portrait activity, ask open-ended questions, but be ready to redirect the conversation if it gets too far off track. As you explore different relationships in the Families leaflet activity, ask kids to use these words to describe their own family relationships. Affirm all the different relationships that kids name so that they know you value all kinds of families. Throughout this lesson, you'll emphasize the value of close friendships. Give thanks for friends and give thanks that God stays close to us.